And here we are once again. We have finally made it back to football season. We are here. We're going to start looking into week 2. Of course, as we stated last week, at the time that we filmed this, Monday Night Football games haven't happened, so just want to leave that in there.
So
for
in
our
other
picks for
words,
this week.
if the Lions look awful, ignore our pick for the Lions.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Raiders.
You picked them, right?
Well, sort of, but if you hear something from somebody on our thing say that the Raiders are an upset pick and then they come out and put a 0 point up, just completely ignore that and say that I picked the other team or the person. Anyway, so we're the fantasy forecasters. We forecast it just as good as the weatherman, and we are going to jump right into our video this week, picking for week 2. So I'm going to quickly start here by going through the games that we all picked that we don't have anything special going on. There's not as many as last week. Oh, and I do want to talk about last week so far. So we're 14 games in right now as we go. We all picked the same one, so this week's pretty much over for us anyway. So me and Bryn tied. We picked 43, 12, 11, 10, 9. We picked 9 games right. Sean ended up last place for last week. 4.
I mean, to be fair, that's what happens.
6. Sean picked 6 games right this week.
That's what happens when you guys pick the Texans.
But, you know, I tied you though. I tied you. Who picked against the Eagles?
I went with a lot of upset picks because it's week 1. You never know what's going to happen. I'll get that.
And yet you didn't go against the Saints. Upset. But they both
Change my pick to the Browns.
hey, we will go. So I'm not going to bring that one up
pick
anymore.
them to tie.
By the way, we did count that as a loss for every one of us. None of us predicted that as a tie.
By the way, the tie is his lock.
That's a lock. The Browns are going 0-2 this week.
That's right.
They are celebrating out there in Cleveland. I hear there's going to be a parade today, or tomorrow, or AKA at this video, Tuesday. A parade on Tuesday. Yeah, so anyway, let me go through our picks so far that none of us really have much to say on. We're all pretty consistent on. So we all got the Ravens on Thursday night over the Bengals. Surprisingly, we all have the Falcons with how the Panthers look pretty good on defense, but we all went with Falcons at home. We all went with Vikings. I think a couple of this is based on Aaron Rodgers if his availability is
If Rodgers plays, I'm switching it, by the way. I'm going to state that now. If Rodgers will play, I'm picking the Packers.
Fair enough. So we will make note of that on here. Unless Sean did decide to change it, we all picked the Saints over the Browns.
I'm keeping it the same.
Okay. We all picked the Texans on the road at the Titans. We all picked the Rams, and no matter what they do tonight on Monday Night Football, that offense was a stinker. And we all picked the 49ers over the Lions, and I don't think that's going to change much with the Monday night games either. So now we're going to go into the ones that we are different on, or that we put as our lock or as our upset pick of the week. And the first one I'm going to start, and I'm just going to go down the line. So if
I guess I'm the first one then.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I think I went too bold last week. I still was right.
I wasn't.
I mean, I picked Carolina over the Cowboys, and that's actually wasn't.
I had them shut out till what, the last quarter?
I was happy with it. So this week I decided to take it a little bit easy. Obviously, when you lose 47-3, you can't really to a Ravens team that I don't know if we don't even know if the Ravens are that good or not. I mean, it's hard to tell after that week. So Chargers had a rough week against the Chiefs. However, I just don't see the Bills doing much against the Chargers unless the Chargers are not a team to even worry about at all. So my lock this week is a definite Chargers over the Bills.
And for the record, I think technically speaking, we're all going to say that's a lock, but we're not making that our official lock.
I
Chargers
stole
over
it.
Bills. He's Chargers over Bills this week. We've all chosen that. If anyone picks the Bills, you're probably live in Buffalo. And you may even play for the team at that point.
I don't even know if Buffalo's
Do you think the players are? So the next one on our list is the Dolphins at the Jets. And this, once again, to kind of say this could change for me specifically, depending on what happens tonight. But right now, the Dolphins, well, yes, they played, what, a 7-hour and 20-minute game this week. For one, they're going to be coming tired out of that. Jets are on a short week, though. But Jets are home. I don't know how good the Dolphins are even after that game. A lot of their points came from special teams and stuff like that. So I'm going with the Jets for the moment. That could change tonight, but at this moment, I say the Jets.
The reason I'm just going with the Dolphins mainly because the Jets are on a short week with a rookie quarterback. I mean, again, the Jets could absolutely blow up tonight, and then I'll probably change my pick. But to be honest with you, I just feel right now the Dolphins are the better team on paper, especially with Ryan Tannehill. Him and Kenny Stills look good. I don't know if there's anybody on the Jets that can stop Kenny Stills in the secondary. So because of that reason,
Buster Scream.
for that reason, that's why I'm sticking with the Dolphins.
And I'm on the same boat with the Jets, though. I mean, in all honesty, if the Jets look awful tonight, I'd say we go to our Facebook.
Yeah, we will post on Facebook.
We
stuff.
will change the picks that we are still kind of iffy about because, again, we are shooting on Monday before the games.
Right.
So right now, I'm just feeling more confident with the Jets because, I mean, this is a Dolphins team that went up against the Titans, and I'm not too certain Titans are a solid team this year. I think they're going to have a rough year, especially with the big injury to Walker.
Yeah, and they also, to add a little bit to that, we don't know anything about Marcus Mariota yet at this point too.
Well, now we're getting out of
I know. I'm just saying on that, but that means their backup came in. Who was their backup again? That
Blaine
came in, Blaine Gabbert.
Who led a touchdown drive.
He did. He actually looked better than Mariota at points in that game, and then at the end he looked terrible. Okay, so the next one's the Chiefs Steelers. Britton, I'll let you go with the start of this one.
All right, so normally I'm going with basically history because normally after the Steelers play real bad against a team they shouldn't look bad against, they come out with a vengeance. So in all honesty, Chiefs looked great last week against the Chargers, or yesterday technically, against the Chargers, and this is nothing against the Chiefs. I think Chiefs that just showed me that they're going to be a good team, but I just think with an angry Steelers, Patrick Mahomes is going to be in for a long, long day.
The reason why I'm going with the Chiefs is simply this. Big Ben looked like trash. Trash. You had
There goes our viewers.
7 turnovers against the Browns, and you tied.
If I remember right, the last time Roethlisberger threw or had that many turnovers was against the Jaguars way back when. I'm pretty sure the following week, last year, I'm pretty sure the following week or the next week he played, he put up numbers.
But who did
And it might have been against the Chiefs in all
I
honesty.
think it
Now
might
that
have actually been.
Now think about it, it might have been against the Chiefs.
I mean, I know historically the Steelers have owned the Chiefs, but I think the way Patrick Mahomes looks, he's basically playing with no fear, which is what you want out of a rookie quarterback. Not just a rookie quarterback, but let's be honest, for argumentative sake, he's pretty much a rookie quarterback. He had limited starts last year, he didn't really see the field. He looked great against a Chargers defense, which is better, in my opinion, than the Steelers defense. I think so.
So I'll put it. I did pick the Chiefs, but as I stated last week, I didn't see all the hype in the Chargers, and I think that kind of showed this week. This past week with the Chiefs burning them a lot, and I'm going to be honest. Both these teams are teams that looked like they were playoff-ready teams last year, and everyone was talking them up. And they both concerned me heavily after week one. The Chiefs on the fact that Tyreek Hill did 90% of the work there, and no one else really showed up on that team. And the Steelers just because they had some good. James Conner looked good. Antonio Brown looked good. And that's about it. Everything else in Pittsburgh was pretty rough. So, and to his point, although I would argue, that once again, I think I picked him as my upset defense to pick at the end of things, that the Browns defense is a lot better than people think it is. I'm picking the Chiefs only because I don't think the Steelers' defense looked that good, especially as it got to the end of the game when they had a 2-touchdown lead late in the game. And I think Tyreek Hill may come out and have another big one this week. I don't know if the Steelers have anyone that can slow him down.
If you're going to take a shot at a defense that had to deal with short fields nonstop because of the turnovers, I mean, I know I'm taking a shot at the Steelers' offense now that I just said it's probably going to put up numbers.
But that's the thing too, is you're going to have so many turnovers, because let's be honest, Big Ben doesn't have it anymore. He needs to retire.
Wow, we are losing viewers by the fact we are going to jump onto this next question before there's going to be a riot against us. And by the way, somebody might put a comment on you, Sean, that you're going to just a salty Jaguars fan. I just want to make that there.
Wait, it doesn't make any sense because we've dominated the Steelers.
I don't care. They're going to put that comment there. So the next one is the Eagles and the Bucks, and I'll take this one just because it's my pick. Bucks looked great this week. I'll give them that. They looked incredible. I can't see Fitzmagic coming out 2 weeks in a row against two teams that are supposed to be solid defenses and showing up like that. I think the Eagles win this game. I think it's a blowout. This is my lock of the week, and I understand this is the second week in a row I pick against the Bucks as a lock of the week. But darn it, it's got to work this time. It's got to work.
You do realize that if we have Tampa Bay viewers and the Bucks beat the Eagles, they're going to hope you keep blocking them.
I'm going to keep blocking every week. I'm just going to do it twice.
The Bucks are going 16-0, folks.
Every week I'm
Fifth
picking against.
magic for MVP.
I don't care who they play. I'm picking against the Bucks until the Bucks lose. So the next one we go to is the Colts and the Redskins. Or we should say Skins. Let's keep it PC on here. So the Skins, the Colts versus the Skins. So I'll start this one just because Sean has a lot to say on this one. I picked the Colts. Skins looked really good, but once again, I don't know if it was the Skins looking good or the Cardinals were really that bad. And I'm leaning more towards the Cardinals being that bad. Andrew Luck didn't have a bad game. I think he's going to come out and have an even better game this week. I think he's going to show up a little more. T.Y. Hilton's probably going to be open a little bit. So I'm going Colts.
I went Colts just because I like what I saw of Indianapolis. They kind of faltered at the end of the game against the Bengals, but I mean, this is also still a Colts team. I think Luck really did a good job, and I really am not sure how the Redskins defense is because we had an Arizona Cardinals offense that just had David Johnson, who
He didn't do anything.
didn't do much either. And other than that, like
He got that touchdown at the end that kind of made him look like a fantasy better player than he actually was.
and Bradford's.
That looked
Well, I'll go to you now after Bradford's just Bradford.
Just Bradford.
And listen, I bought into the Cardinals last week, and the reason I took the Cardinals is because they were at home. They're a much different team at home than they are on the road. Whatever it is, what it is. The reason why I'm taking the Skins this week is, T.Y. Hilton is going to get shadowed by Norman. And the reason why I'm taking the Redskins is, their offense looked great last week. Say what you want about the Cardinals' defense. They were on the road in a hostile territory. They looked great. The Colts' defense isn't scaring anybody either.
No, I'm not.
You know what I mean? Like, the most inconsistent quarterback in probably the history of the NFL, Andy Dalton, looked decent. Alex Smith doesn't turn the ball over. Chris Thompson looked great. Adrian Peterson looks great. So for me, I just don't think the Colts are going to be able to keep up with that offense.
Fair enough, but I will argue that Alex Smith is probably up there for most inconsistent quarterback too in the history of the NFL.
If you look at his numbers the last 3 years in Kansas City.
The last 3, but then you look at his numbers all the years before that. It was up and
but it was
down.
the
Like 10 different offensive
Exactly.
coordinators.
So I think he's a new one this year too. So what is he up to at this point?
So for me, I'm going to go with the Redskins, and you can actually put me down as my lock of the week right there with the Skins over the Colts.
It's actually our
That's funny because all of our upsets are the later games. So we had all our locks by complete accident in a row there. That's weird. So we're gonna jump down to the later games now. So we got the next one is the Raiders at Broncos. Once again, for me, I'll go into this. They both got the same one. I'm going against them. For me, this could very well change after the Monday night games. If the Raiders put up a 0-pointer and get annihilated by the Rams.
But that's kind of not fair because the Rams' defense on paper is amazing.
Yeah, but everyone talks about the Broncos' defense too being that good. And to be fair, they did shut Russell Wilson down pretty well most of the game this week. I just cannot buy into the Broncos' hype, mainly because for one, the Seahawks aren't the team that they were, 2 or 3 years ago, even last year.
Didn't you guys pick the Seahawks because of the pieces they had?
No, I didn't say it was because of the pieces.
I'm pretty sure someone said that.
No, he might have, but I picked the Seahawks just because I didn't trust the Broncos. So I guess I'm going the exact same way that I did last week on this one. But Case Keenum, to his point, had a pretty good game. Once again, this could all change. They lost Khalil Mack, so if their defense shows up and they look worse than the Colts defense, then that could change everything.
A lot of Raiders fans saying they like the guy behind them.
Well, the Raiders still on paper have a decent defense. They're not as good without Khalil Mack, and clearly showed on Sunday Night Football that Khalil Mack turns a team around on defense in the first half. But I think I just don't see the Broncos being a playoff-ready team or anything at this point, and they've got to kind of fall back to earth after a big win against a team that some people still talk of as they're one of the top teams in the league. Right. So I'm going Raiders as an upset here. They're my upset pick of the week.
Well, in all honesty, I'm not picking Broncos because they're going against an elite team. They're going against the Raiders,
I never
And,
said they're against the elite team.
you said that like everyone. I don't know.
I said I was talking about Seahawks.
I'll watch the video back.
Yeah,
and see
no,
what you said.
I was talking about the Seahawks. I said people still think the Seahawks are an elite
I
team in this league, which they're not. But they're still, since what, it was just 3 years now since their last Super Bowl appearance. So people still think the Seahawks are that same team that won the Super Bowl, and they're not even close to that team anymore. In fact, I think the Rams are probably going to own that division this year. So,
All right. Well, anyways, besides
with that being
point,
said, that's all.
besides that point. I just think that the Raiders are probably going to be in for a treat. Last week I said that the running backs would probably do a lot. Broncos did all right on the ground. They actually had better success through the air with Emmanuel Sanders of all people.
And it wasn't just him. They did have that, what was that, Stacy or something, that one running back, that late Lindsay. I knew it was a female named Philip Lindsay. Was a good running back though this week on the ground. I'll give him that. No one talked about him.
Philip Lindsay is this year's Browns running back.
What was it? Peyton Hillis?
Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis. Oh,
Yeah, I just think that the Broncos are gonna be a better team than the Raiders this year, and I think. I mean, I'm just not feeling too good about Oakland. I mean, their starting running back still is Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I don't think either of these teams are going to be in the discussion once we get about 6 weeks in. I think they're both pretty much going to be falling out of the playoff picture. It's going to be between Chargers and Chiefs
in
for
all
that
honesty,
division.
in all honesty,
but-
I think Broncos have just right now are. I think it's going to be kind of like last year, where they're going to get out heavy only because they kind of had a weak schedule to start.
Fair enough on that one.
Because
though.
it's Raiders are probably going to be the worst team in that division. And I know that I'm probably upsetting Raider fans now. So you going after the Steelers and I'm going after the Raiders. So Vegas hates us now.
Right.
So
I think the Raiders, their win-loss record's all going to depend on what Amari Cooper does this year. If Amari Cooper goes back to his elite form, they have a chance to get up to at least 8-8 with that. Just with that.
you still have to have a defense, and I just don't. I'm not.
But
sold
I
on
mean, their
that.
defense, like I said, you look at it, it's not the best without
It's old.
Khalil Mack.
It's older.
old, but it's still not terrible at this point.
But
it's not the. I wouldn't mark it as the worst in the league at this point.
But the problem with that is, like, every match is going to be a shootout, and that offense, like you said, it's going to go through Amari Cooper and Derek Carr
And Lynch.
and if Carr doesn't prove some consistency, because he has been up and down in his career. I know he's had injury issues. I know he's had some, things like that, but he's not been very consistent. And when he faces tough defenses, he tends to fold. So for me, I'm going with the Broncos because they still have a good pass rush. I mean, the Oakland Raiders do have.
I mean, you saw Von Miller. I mean,
Von Miller did. Von Miller was a beast. I'm not going to argue
Yeah,
that.
so because of that reason, that's why I'm taking the Broncos. I have very little faith in the Raiders offense.
Just wait till tonight, though. That could change everything. And remember, I gave you guys the chance to switch the Chiefs and Chargers this week. Just saying. I'll give you that chance for the Raiders next week. Sean, I'll let you go to the next one because the next one's big on you.
All right, the next game is probably the game of the week.
And it's not even on Sunday or Monday Night Football.
And that is the AFC Championship rematch between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New England Patriots. I'm shocked. I thought I was going to be flying solo on this one, but I'm not. Apparently, me and Danny both agree that the Jaguars, with the home field advantage, have the potential to pull the upset, even though they're kind of even money right now. Bryn thinks the Patriots are obviously going to win. And here's what it's going to come down to. Right now, Leonard Fournette is injured. He's day-to-day. We don't know what that's going to do. But if you look at that AFC Championship game, Corey Grant was doing most of the damage.
He should have never been pulled out of that game.
And when we went run heavy with Fournette in the second half, that's when things kind of spiraled out of control. There's some questionable calls, 50 seconds left in the half with 2 timeouts and we down the football. Things like that. But to me, I think this is the Jaguars' revenge game. It is our home opener. New England on the road isn't as good as they are at home. They looked great. They shut down the Texans. Deshaun Watson struggled. Obviously, we know Bortles' history. He did not look very good against the Giants. But to me, I just think it's a home game. The Jaguars know that Leonard Fournette's day to day. I think we have enough game plan with TJ Yeldon, Corey Grant, get those guys involved, get Austin Safarian Jenkins involved. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think the Jaguars defense will pull out pick six.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say much else onto that except that I'm picking Jaguars because they're at home, and I think their defense can, and they showed it last year in the championship game, their defense can shut down the Patriots, and it hasn't changed much from last year. You look at the way the Patriots passing game was this week, they could shut them down. It all comes down to Blake Bortles in the end. And usually that means I'm going to pick against them. This time I'm going with them just because it's at Jacksonville.
Well, once again, here we are.
Same as last week.
Exactly, basically, because of earlier game, you guys are going with the hype from those games. Look, Jaguars still do have that top defense, and they are going to shut down probably the Patriots offense. But, I mean, I just can't get over the fact that, one, Patriots look good against Deshaun Watson. And you guys are going to say Blake Bortles is going to go pass all over, or at least I just don't see him doing much more than what Watson did. And I just can't go against the Patriots when no team has showed that they deserve to be picked over the Patriots. I mean, I'm not saying Patriots are the best team right now. I still think there's much better looking teams in the NFL. I just don't think Jaguars are one of those teams.
And I will say this about that game. I think if Will Fuller plays that game this week, I think the Texans have even a better shot at winning that game against New England. I just don't think... I think Deshaun Watson was rusty, for one, for being out for a long time. And for two, his number one option was Hopkins, who was getting double covered, triple covered on almost every play. His number two was... I can't even name him right now. His number two, that's where
Ellington?
I think it was Bruce Ellington. I think he ended up catching a touchdown late in the game. But the number two was Bruce Ellington. That should basically give you what you need to know in that game.
Patriots.
There you go. That's fine, too. So, Bryn, I'll let you take this one.
Alright, so
Sunday
I'm
night.
actually not the only one going with the upset in this game either. Granted, this game could easily change from being an upset to not, because obviously
It's gonna be back and
we're
forth.
Monday. It's Monday. We're before the betting odds come in. So Jaguars could end up actually being the favorite team, and I might actually have an upset in New England. But right now, Cowboys are favored at home against the Giants. It is Sunday night. Cowboys seem to always perform well on Sunday night. And the only reason I'm going against Cowboys is, did you guys see what happened last week against the Panthers? I mean, this is an offense that right now has to rely on Ezekiel Elliott, and every team knows that. And Carolina showed it really well. Elliott still had a decent game, but whenever it came down to Dak Prescott having to make plays, Allen Hurns didn't help him.
No.
Michael Gallup didn't help him.
No.
And their
Cole
tight
Beasley
end-
had a pretty good game.
Cole Beasley, yeah, but I mean, it also wasn't anything like mind shattering
It
either.
was short
I mean,
passes. It was short.
it's just an offense that really is going to. I mean, I know Des Bryant took a shot at the offensive coordinator,
Yes,
but I
he did.
mean, in all honesty, that offense looked bad, and I can't pick the Cowboys if they're not going to move the ball, especially against a team that surprised a lot of people by actually giving the Jaguars a good run for their money. And another thing, Beckham's back. Like, he looked good.
Beckham's back.
He's back. I mean, against Ramsey, not all the time.
I was gonna say,
It
let's
wasn't against. I'm not gonna act like most NFL news outlets by saying that, but he did beat Ramsey a couple times, and that's got to be a good sign for the Giant fans.
That was the excuse coming out of Ramsey was slowed down by an injury, right?
You know, he had 11 catches for 100-some yards. It's great, but Beckham didn't line. Ramsey doesn't shadow people. Like, it's not a one-on-one game with Ramsey. You know, he plays his head games. But yeah, you look at the matchup between those two, and Ramsey only allowed like 3 catches for 20-some yards. So he won the matchup. Now the question why I'm taking the Giants here is I don't think there's anyone on the Cowboys that can replicate that. You know, they're going to move Odell Beckham around because that's what they do. So they're going to put him in the slot. They're going to line him on the outside. The Cowboys secondary is solid as a group, but there's no one consistent player that's going to shut Odell down. I think Evan Ingram's going to have a better game. Like, he didn't really perform all
He
that
dropped a
well.
couple big ones.
Right, so I
Yeah.
think he's going to bounce back, have a better game. Saquon Barkley, he had that one big run, poor tackling, whatever.
See, once again, he continues to hate Saquon Barkley, by the way. I just want to point that out.
You know, but I think he'll have a better matchup this week against the Cowboys front. I mean, you've seen that.
McCaffrey did a good job, and C.J. Anderson.
Yeah.
So I
They
mean,
both had plays. So to me, I'm going to go with the Giants because I just think their offense is better. The Cowboys right now on offense, like you said, they're a hot mess. They have no one receiving the ball other than Cole Beasley, and he's only good for over the middle and the short stuff. Like, he's not going to burn people.
No, he's not.
And like you said, you're going to face 9-10 guys in the box every play because they know where the ball's going.
And 10 and then double teaming them. So I picked the Cowboys. The main reason for one, it's in Dallas, so that's a completely different experience than say if it's somewhere else. For two, I think think about it. The Panthers have a better defense than the Giants. So the Panthers, I think, are an underrated defense in the NFL right now. I think they're pretty solid across the board. So when they say the Cowboys offense didn't look good, I think they played a good defense. Does this mean I think the Cowboys are a playoff team? God, no. I would be shocked if they win 5 games this year. But I also don't think
one of those 5 will be the time.
Exactly. I don't think it might be both of them. I don't think the Giants are as good as the hype. I mean, they stopped Blake Bortles, but most people have been able to for the most, except the playoff teams that were against them.
If they're underdogs
so I
for the
think,
Cowboys, there's no hype.
But there is hype for Saquon Barkley. You watched Red Zone along with me, where every time Saquon Barkley ran the ball, they talked about how great he was. Odell Beckham, once again, you said it yourself that in the news all week it was talking about how Odell Beckham beat Jalen Ramsey. So now there's a talk about Odell Beckham's huge there. So there is hype for this team. There is hype for the running game. There's hype for the pass game. I think they're overhyped at that point. I think the Cowboys' defense is a little better. Yes, they can be beat by Cole Beasley. They can be beat for that. They're definitely going to be beat by Odell Beckham for a couple because I don't think they have that number one guy. But I also think they're going to shut down the run, and I also just overall think being in Dallas is going to give that whole experience on Sunday Night Football. You even said it, the Cowboys historically play pretty good on primetime football games, especially at home. I just think the Cowboys are going to come in and, I'm not going to say shock because they're favored. I'm shocked that they're favored. But I think they're going to come in and win this game just because it's at home and in prime time.
They're favored now.
At this moment, at this very moment, they're favored. I wouldn't be shocked if that changes before the week's out. And we're going to end it with Monday Night Football for next week. So somehow the Bears, for a second week in a row, get a primetime game against a team that, personally, I've already ripped apart today once, the Seahawks. That's a Monday Night Football game over the Jaguars versus... That's weird. Weird choices.
Mind-boggling.
But anyway, who wants to take this one? Go for it. Jump into it.
Since I'm going
What's
opposite...
Should I wait? I mean, it's my team.
I mean, if you want to go through your team and talk about it, I thought you were going to avoid your team today, but I'll let you go.
No, I'll let him talk. See why he's picking Seahawks.
All right, well, I'm going against the grain. They both went with the Chicago Bears. I'm going with the Seahawks, and here's why. That game last night was absolutely disgusting, and I think the Bears are going to be absolutely deflated. Like, you can't tell me morale in that locker room is great after losing to a one-legged man when you had a 20-0 lead. Like, and I'm not trying to rip you guys apart, but that is almost as bad as losing the Super Bowl when you're up 24-3.
Are you taking a shot at the Falcons now?
I'm shooting blind, all right?
Wow.
But
It's kind of like blowing a lead against the Patriots.
Exactly. So, to me, I just think the Bears right now, I think they'll bounce back, but I just don't think they're going to bounce back next week. I think they're going to be in letdown mode after losing that game. I think the Seahawks are going to come out swinging because they don't want to start 0-2. Of course, neither do the Bears. But to me, Russell Wilson, he's just too good. And I just don't think he's going to allow them.
I'll let you go last.
I know you're going to pick apart Russell Wilson, blah, blah, blah.
I'm not going to pick apart Russell Wilson.
No.
I think Russell Wilson's the one, maybe, and there's going to be arguments, everyone says Aaron Rodgers. I think Russell Wilson's maybe the most underrated. And that's interesting because he's considered top 5. I think he could be top 2. I think he may be up there with Aaron Rodgers. He's carried that team with no receivers for how many years now? So no, I think Russell Wilson's one of the best in the league. The problem is I don't think the Seahawks have anyone beyond Russell Wilson right now who's going to step into it, especially with Doug Baldwin, news to come, possibly not playing. He's probably their best other player on the team. He came into the game hobbled and left even worse than what he came into. So I don't think the Seahawks really have anyone there. The Bears defense, yes, let's harp on it all. They gave up all those points to Packers, but when Aaron Rodgers was healthy, they had the game plan for him. They shut him down for the first half of the game. Then when he got injured, I mean, they made DeShone Kizer look embarrassing.
How do you game plan for a man with one leg? Like, that should be easy.
Well, no, it's so the problem there is the coach changing the game plan as it goes. He goes into halftime, they game plan for DeShone Kizer because they don't expect Rodgers to come out, and they blow it completely because they're not ready for a one-legged Rodgers and stuff. So, and plus, if you saw, the Packers changed the way that they played the game. It was short pass, short pass, short pass, which takes Khalil Mack out of the game. So
That's more like it other than they planned for Rodgers. The Packers just came out with a better game plan in the second half.
more or less, that's what I was trying to get
a nice
to.
dink and dunk.
But like I
that's
said-
killed us. And if Wilson does that, then it's gonna be a long day.
Well, if the game plan, but like I said, it's all about the game plan. I don't think the Bears went into the locker room at halftime thinking Aaron Rodgers was going to play the second half. They thought, hey, did you see how we beat up DeShone Kizer in his first 2 drives here? This game will be easy. And I don't want to say the Bears gave up and stopped playing, but they definitely thought it was going to be a lot easier. Then Aaron Rodgers comes out and they change the game plan. That's not the way Packers play the game. Packers don't play with those short dunks. Aaron Rodgers gets the time, he runs around the back, and he throws deep balls. Bears were not ready for that game plan in the second half. I say Bears come out game planned ready for that Seahawks game, and I think Bears, unless, of course, Russell Wilson gets injured in the first half, and then he comes back in the second half, then it's over, then Seahawks win, I change my pick.
But
Anyway,
the other thing, too, is like, you say they didn't have a game plan. Well, you had a 20-0 lead.
doesn't matter.
When Rodgers came out, you had a 20-0 lead. You could have adjusted the game plan mid-third quarter to say,
So
okay,
you have a rookie coach who has never coached before a game before. This was his first game, and it was in prime time, so the pressure's on right there. You have, once again, you come out expecting to play DeShone Kizer. I don't care if he has one leg. Between DeShone Kizer and Aaron Rodgers, there is a huge it's completely different team there for the Packers. Once again, Packers are doing the short dunk passes right all week long. The Bears are playing for saying, hey, don't give up the big pass. As you saw in the first half, a lot of the times their defensive backs were playing 15 yards back before the game even happened. Packers adjusted, but Bears, I don't think, expected Aaron Rodgers to go, and that's what killed them last night. Or, sorry, on Monday night. I gotta stop saying last night. You're not gonna see this video when it was last night. That's just my argument for the game. But let's hand it to the Bears fan.
Monday night.
Sunday night, whatever. Whatever. Did you see that James Conner rookie? Anyway, go ahead.
All right, well, I'm not going to jump in and say the Bears are going to win this one going away. I
don't think it's gonna be-
I'm not even sold on the pick because I don't know what Bears team we're going to get. If we get first half Bears, this is going to be a win for them. If we get the Bears that came out in the second half, it's going to be a win for the Seahawks. The question is which one are they going to get? I think they could easily shut down most of the offense unless Doug Baldwin plays. Because if
It's
Doug
iffy.
Baldwin does not play, then Seattle's losing all their options.
So you're using all their apps.
I mean, Disley's not going to make that big of impact
Or will.
to
no, he probably won't.
I mean, Jimmy Graham didn't even do anything against the Bears this week, so I mean, it just depends. Again, the offense needs to show up as well because Trubisky looked great the first half, the second half. He was not there, and if that's the case, we need to focus more on Terry Cohen and Jordan Howard to get this game in the
But
pocket.
remember, that's who Jordan Howard is. He runs it all. That's who he is.
that's who he is.
That's for you, Collinsworth.
Anyway, go ahead, Bryn. You just run with it.
All right. Well, that is the end of our week 2 picks. Again, we might change them. If we
Facebook.
do, check our Facebook page out. It is Fantasy Forecasters. Please like the page. We need likes. I mean, please,
Right?
please. I mean, I'll beg.
Well, we didn't mean to make fun of the Steelers, Bills, and everybody else.
I didn't mean to be a salty Vikings fan. I didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to screw up Samaje Perine.
Let's try it again. Hey, we might want to end this video. We just lost some more viewers. Samaje Perine. You said Samaje.
Samaje Perine.
Samaje Perine, we're sorry, please don't.
He's gonna be cut before before mid-season.
No one should even care about him anyways. He's a backup to Rob Kelly and Adrian
I
Peterson.
told you he's gonna be cut before
and
the
Chris
before trading.
Thompson. Anyways,
We are the Fantasy Forecasters.
You lost it. You lost it.
And we predicted just as good as the weatherman. Thank you and have a good night.